Hey guys, so a quick video about my newest addition to the fleet, and it's this SkyRC SR5. It's labelled as a quarter scale off-road dirt bike. Never had anything like this before, and it's awesome. It's really good fun, really hard to control, but a lot of laughs. It's a fairly simple setup, really. Front shocks is basically just a spring in a tube. They're not the greatest. They do work, moves up and down, but it's not the smoothest action in the world. On the rear we've got it's basically like a buggy shock in the back there. It did have a little cover over it, which screwed into that little hole there, but that little block broke in half and the cover fell off. Still works okay though. See in there you can see the pinion and the spur gear. A 60 amp Toro ESC, which will do NIMH batteries as well as lipos. That seems perfectly adequate. So we've got a swing arm at the back here that moves up and down. You can see in there are the little metal contacts that take current to the spinning mass that's inside the rear wheel here, which acts as a gyroscope to help you keep it upright. It works surprisingly well. Underneath the fairing here you can see the steering servo. Two big springs either side, because obviously the steering takes a lot of impact. I have no idea what servo that is. It's completely unbranded, unlabeled servo. I imagine it's not the highest quality in the world, but it doesn't need to be super fast or super powerful in this. You know, the front wheel's hardly ever on the ground, so it doesn't really make a lot of difference. I think this one that's in there should be fine for now. It comes with these little outrider things that just push into these little metal posts. Stop the bike tipping over too far. Let's take a look at the other side. So you can see this is a genuinely real chain and sprocket for the drive system, which is really cool and makes it, you know, adds so much realism to the bike having a proper chain and sprocket setup. It's awesome. Big old knobbly tyres. Oh, blimey, it looks like they're starting to take quite a bit of wear already. You've only used this a couple of times. Already they've taken a fair bit of punishment. So you've got a little Toro brushless motor in there, 3200 kV. What does that say? 3650 4-pole motor. I think a censored setup in here might work really well. It just try and control some of the wheelies and stuff. So I'm toying with the idea of putting a hobby wing censored system in here. To see how that goes, because I think it might work out pretty well. But this one's perfectly adequate for now. And then you see the battery wire we've got sticking out there. This does have the battery trays underneath here. It does have a lipo battery in there. So it comes with this 3000 milliamp hour 6-cell nickel metal hydride battery, which works fine. You know, the thing goes quite fast on it, but it doesn't provide enough power to do a wheelie. You know, just by hitting the power like the lipo batteries do. You can still pull a wheelie if you've got like a little bump or something that you can get that front wheel up a little bit, and then you can hold a wheelie on it. And this pack gets unbelievably hot when running it. It's like almost too hot to touch once you take it out. So I've used it a couple of times. So it works okay, but the lipo battery definitely works better. Change batteries, you just pull the pin out from underneath. This little tray pings up, and this is the battery that I'm using at the moment. Again, there's very, very little space in this battery compartment. None of the 2 or 3S batteries that I had would fit. You know, the stock hard case 2S batteries that a lot of people use, that will actually fit in here. Like a 5000 milliamp one will fit in there. But it had the little bullet connectors on the end where you have to plug the battery wires into the bullet connectors, and there is nowhere for them to go in here. So I ended up having to buy this. You know, I searched through Hobby King's site for a battery just the right size to fit in, and this was the biggest capacity 3S battery I could find that would actually fit in this battery tray. So it's 3300. I think it's was it 40C? Yes, 40C. Which, again, ideally I would have liked something a bit higher than that, because it does seem to draw a lot of amps, this bike. But that's literally all I could get that would fit in here, and it seems to work just fine. You get a decent amount of runtime on it, and again, it gets warm, but doesn't get as hot as the NIMH pack. So I'm pretty happy with that, and it's quite cheap. So results. As you can see, we've been out with this thing quite a few times. It's covered in dust. We have this wheelie bar at the back. It's just a thinnish piece of some sort of spring steel, but it does, I mean, it bends up like that almost every single time you take it out. If you do a wheelie and that hits the ground, it bends up like that. But you can just bend it back again. I've bent it back straight multiple times. It doesn't even, I haven't even got a crack in the Lexan of the bodywork, so it's not really an issue. Once it bends, you just bend it back again. Same thing with the side outriggers. Once they start bending up too much, you can just bend them back again, so no issues there. So we've got several bits of like road rash. His boots have taken a bit of a beating. Down on the end of the forks there, it's a bit scuffed up, and yeah, we had a little bit of an issue on the last time I ran this. we now have a two-part rider. Not sure how this thing was stuck together. Can't see, you can see a little bit of glue trace in there, which is the glue I put on it. Let's try and glue it back together again. I also tried double-sided tape, and that didn't work either. So I'm not entirely sure how this thing was fixed together originally. But once he came apart, it's been a bit of a pain. I have to keep trying to stick him down. It's nothing too serious, to be honest with you. Let's get him to have a little look at us, shall we? Hey buddy, how you doing? Yeah, I've had no real issues with any of the parts. The bike's worked brilliantly on the half a dozen or so times I've taken it out. Like I say, that rear tyre looks like it's wearing quite badly, and I'm not sure what the parts availability and stuff like that is. And like I say, I've had that one breakage of that little, I think it's part of like the rod end, the shock rod end. It just has a hole in it for the screw to go in, and that's cracked. And I did have the gyro stopped halfway through a run the other day. Again, I'm not sure what would cause that. Some issue with these little brass strips that run down the inside of the swing arm there, not carrying the current properly. But it's started working again almost straight away, and it's been fine ever since. So no real issues there. Yeah, the one other thing I was going to mention, you'll see there's a little hole in the saddle there, right above the R of SkyRC. And that is so you can poke something down in there and actually adjust the switch, which changes the gyro speed. The little gyro controller sits in a little pouch underneath the seat there. But you can only access it from the top, which means taking the rider off, taking all the fairing off. It's a bit of a faff, to be honest with you. So I thought, well, why not just drill a hole in there? You know, you can just poke a body clip or a toothpick or whatever in that little hole. It has different coloured LEDs come on to indicate the different speeds of the gyro. Red being what it comes set as standard, which is the maximum RPM, and then it goes to like yellow, green, orange, I forget what the colours are, but that turns the gyro down in steps down to the lowest one, which is like 8,000 RPM. I think the maximum one is 12,000, something like that. But again, from the surfaces that I run it on, as you can see, mainly dusty, dry sort of surfaces, having the gyro on full is the way to go. But like I said, if you do need to adjust the gyro quickly, I do recommend just drilling that hole through the Lexan body shell and through the little cover over the top of the gyro controller. And then you can poke a hole in there and change your gyro speeds easily. So yeah, that's the bike. Looks really awesome, always draws a crowd. Now let's see some video of it in action.